Dear students, in this video we will talk about Favorskii rearrangement. Favorskii rearrangement is the conversion of alpha haloketones having at least one alpha hydrogen to corresponding carboxylic acid derivative or carboxylic acid via cyclopropanone intermediate so this is Favorskii rearrangement. And if we see the general equation, this rearrangement takes place in the presence of a base and we get this one. So now we see the mechanism. In the first step, because we have alpha hydrogen here, so base would take the proton and as a result we will get the enolate or we get the other resonance contributing structure, this one. Okay, this enolate, this carbonyl would then attack here, and as a result of intramolecular reaction this chloride will be eliminated and we will get cyclopropanone intermediate. So this is three-membered ring with a ketonic group, so that's why it is called cyclopropanone. And now in the next step we have hydroxide in the solution in the reaction mixture, so it would attack as a nucleophile on the ketone and we will get the tetrahedral intermediate. Okay, and after that this negative charge would come back and one of these two bonds would break. So for example this bond would break and we will get carbonyl here because it would appear as negative charge and carboxylic acid here. If we number the carbon, 1, 2, 3, so this is 1, this is 2 and this is 3. So 1 and 3, the bond between 1 and 3 has been broken and this is shown by the arrow tail here. So we will get this carbonyl and it can take proton from this carboxylic acid as well. So proton transfer reaction. And as we have discussed earlier as well, that when a reaction is started with a base, in general that is quenched with acidic water. So this would take the proton from acidic water and we will get this carboxylic acid as a result of ring contraction. So I repeat the mechanism once again. In the first step, this hydrogen, because it's acidic, it's abstracted by the hydroxide base and we get the enolate. and this carbanion would then internally displace this chlorine because it is a good leaving group. Here we can use any leaving group. We can use chlorine, bromine, iodine, tosyl derivative, tosylate, mesylate, triplet. So lot of leaving groups can be used in place of chlorine here, and this chlorine, because it's good leaving group, so it would be displaced by this carbanion, and we will get a new bond between these two carbons, and as a result cyclopropanone intermediate is formed. This is cyclopropanone intermediate. In the next step, the hydroxide ion which is being used as a base would attack the carbonyl carbon, and as a nucleophile, as a result this bond would break and we will get the tetrahedral intermediate. And in the next step, this negative charge would come back and one of these two bonds would break, and as a result this carbanion would be obtained. In the next step, proton transfer reaction may occur because this is acidic in nature and can donate proton. So this can get proton from carboxylic acid, and eventually the carboxylate anion would be protonated by acidic water, and we will get the carboxylic acid as the product. So this is the mechanism of Favorskii rearrangement, and now we see some further details of this rearrangement. Okay, now we see the orientation of ring opening of cyclopropanone. Okay, for this we can take the example of this molecule. And in parallel, we can take the example of this molecule. And again, X is a good leaving group, and we have discussed that X can be chloride, bromide, iodide, tosylate, mesylate, or triplet. So if we add base in this, the base would take the proton from this carbon, and as a result we would get the enolate, and this carbanion would then internally displace this halogen or leaving group in this case, and as a result we would get the cyclopropanone intermediate. Here again, if we add base would take the proton from here, and we would get the carbanion, and after intermolecular nucleophilic substitution reaction we would get the same intermediate. Now it has the possibility to get attacked by the hydroxide once again. So this would attack as a nucleophile on carbonyl carbon, and we would get the tetrahedral intermediate. This one. In the next step, this would break as we have seen in the mechanism, and one of these two bonds has to be broken. So for example, we see that this can be broken. This is possibility A, so we call it possibility A, and after this bond is broken, we would get, we give the numbering 1, 2, 3. So phenyl is attached to 1, and 1 gets the negative charge because one arrowhead is coming towards carbon 1, and 1 is on the other side is attached to 2, which is attached to 3, having a carboxylic group. So we get this one, and after protonation, addition of acid hydrolysis acid, we would get the corresponding carboxylic acid. And this was the possibility A. If we use possibility B, which means this bond is broken, this was A, this is B. As a result of this, we have phenyl attached to 1, which is attached to 2, and it gets a negative charge, and 1 is further attached to 3, having carboxylic group. So it would be treated with acidic water, because we have already discussed that when a reaction is initiated or started with a base, in general this reaction is quenched with acidic conditions. So we would get, after protonation, this carboxylic acid. So this is produced as a result of possibility A, and this is produced as a result of possibility B. Now we can see that in both the directions ring opening or cleavage can occur. However, we have to see which type of carbanion is formed and which is more stable. Here we have an alkyl carbanion, and here we have an alkyl attached to aromatic ring. So it means this is benzylic carbanion. And benzylic carbanions, benzylic radicals, benzylic carbocations, they are all stable because of delocalization over the phenyl ring. Therefore, this would be the major product in this case. So I hope you have understood this, and now we see some examples of Favorskii rearrangement. An unusual example for Favorskii rearrangement would be this molecule. And in general, we should know that hydroxide can be used as a base. Alkoxide can also be used as a base in Favorskii rearrangement, and we can also use amides as base. In case of hydroxide, we get carboxylic acids. In case of alkoxide, we get esters, and in case of amides, we get carboxamides as products. And now we use methoxide, and methoxide is generally in the form of sodium methoxide in methanol. So we use methoxide, and methoxide would take the proton from here, and as a result we would get the enolate, and carbanion would be formed here. This would now attack on this carbon because we have a potential leaving group here. So in conjugated manner it would attack, and we would get cyclopropanone intermediate, and here we would get this double bond. Why this happened? Because we can see when we have this system, because it is a good leaving group, and when it leaves, when Br leaves, we would get this allyl carbocation, and this can have the resonance contributing structure like this one. So it means when this carbanion can attack here, and it can be eliminated. So we will get this product, and in the next step again we would get this would attack here, it would as a nucleophile, and we would get the intermediate, this one. In the next step, this would come back, and we have the two possibilities. So I would favor this possibility, because when carbon ion is found here, this is in conjugation with this double bond. So we can have the resonance here. So as a result of this, we would get this bond, because bond between these two has broken. So this ester would stay on this carbon like here, and we would get the negative charge here, which can be protonated, and after the addition of water, acidic water, we would get this one. So this is an unusual example. In this case, we did not have a general routine leaving group. Rather, we had a pi bond which was kind of working as leaving group, because it broke when the carbon ion attack on this carbon, and as a result the actual leaving group was present here in the on the 3 position with respect to this carbon. So I hope this example is clear to you. Favorskii rearrangement is of 2 types. One type is quasi-Favorskii rearrangement. In quasi-Favorskii rearrangement, no alpha hydrogens are present. So when no alpha hydrogens are present in alpha haloketone, then quasi-Favorskii rearrangement would take place, and here is how it would take place. So this is a molecule. In this case, we have phenyl on one side of ketone, on the other side all 3 positions are occupied, and one of them is halo group. So this is alpha haloketone, and for example, if it is attacked by alkoxide, this bond would break. We would get this intermediate, and in the next step this bond would break, and this would migrate to this carbon, and the leaving group would be eliminated. So as a result, we would get this molecule. So if no alpha hydrogens are present, quasi-Favorskii rearrangement would take place. Another type is homo-Favorskii rearrangement. If halogen group is installed on beta carbon, then what would we get? For example, this is beta carbon, this is alpha, this is beta, and halogen is attached on beta carbon. As a result of this, for example, if we use any base, it would abstract alpha hydrogen. We get the enolate, and this enolate would internally attack here, and it would be eliminated. So as a result, we would get cyclobutanone intermediate. And in the next step, when we use same species as nucleophile. In the first step it is used as a base because it is taking the proton. In the next step it is attacking the electrophilic center. So as a result we would get so in this case it is nucleophile. So this alkoxide would attack here, this would go up, come down, and one of these two bonds would break, for example this one, and as a result this is 1 2 3 4. R is attached to carbon 1 and is also getting a negative charge because arrowhead is towards carbon 1. 1 is attached to 2, 2 is attached to 3, and 3 is attached to 4 with a carbonyl group, and it has the OR group as well. So after protonation with acidic water, one, two, three, four, we would get the ester. So this rearrangement takes place through cyclobutanone intermediate. That's why it is called homo-Favorskii rearrangement. And when no alpha hydrogens are present, we get Cauchy-Favorskii rearrangement. So I hope this is all clear to you. If you find any question or confusion, please leave your comments or questions in the comment box. Thanks.